Welcome to day two coverage of the NFL Draft as we take a look at the key players and top picks from day one, including what to look for tonight in round two. As Ourlads guide to the 2018 NFL Draft with Dan Shonka on the Ourlads Football Radio Network starts now. All right, it's Friday, April 27th, 2018. I'm Greg DePalma, and you're listening to the Ourlads Football Radio Network with Ourlads GM and National Scout Dan Shonka, where it's never too early to think about the NFL Draft, and we are ready for day two, Dan. And biggest surprise for day one for you?
Well, I think it was Terrell Edmonds. It kind of came out of left field there a little bit. Now, we might have undergraded him a little bit because he struggled down the field, covering deep and things like that. But really a good run player and everything. And of course his twin brother is Tremaine, and Tremaine is, he kind of slipped a little bit at least in our minds, but
sure.
But anyway, I think Terrell was. I think, came out of left field there a little bit.
Well, yeah, you had him as a fourth or fifth round guy. So what do you think the reason was specifically? Like, was there something that that Pittsburgh saw in him where it was like, yeah, okay, whether it was a scheme thing or what's his biggest asset?
Being able to play the run. He's a really good run player.
Okay.
An alley player. And so he gets downhill really quickly, and he can blow you up. Now he's a good hitter and everything. To us, we felt like he had to play a little better down the field in the pass game. But some teams are using safeties now to play up a little closer to the line of scrimmage and everything. And he might be one of those kind of guys because he can run and he is a very good athlete.
Yeah, the only other free safety that was taken off the board was Minkah Fitzpatrick. Surprised that Minkah Fitzpatrick the Dolphins got to be pretty happy, even though they didn't get a quarterback. And I don't know what they're going to say. Maybe they're going to smoke screen. Oh, we wanted Fitzpatrick all along. Who knows? But if they did, then that's a surprise. You would think that they would have made a trade to move up, like the way that the Bills did for Josh Allen. But whatever, they got Fitzpatrick. Surprised he was at 11.
Yeah, that was a steal for them. So then actually both safeties, Derwin James went a little bit later too. So, but good football players, and the safety is not really devalued, but it's just the way it turned out.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, again, we say it every year. There's always going to be a couple of players that are going to slip, especially when all the quarterbacks were taken as high as they were. This is not a surprise. This happens every year, and maybe even more so because the future of quarterbacks in the next draft or two look pretty slim. So maybe everybody's trying to go out and get their guy. There's only a couple more left, right? That would be considered maybe a couple years from now, like Kyle Ouellette or Mike White. Are those the only two guys that you really would have confidence in that could potentially become starters?
Well, you kind of Rudolph.
I mean, Mason Rudolph, yeah. Let's count Mason Rudolph. I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't taken. I mean, weren't you?
Oh. Yeah, I thought he could have been taken there late. In fact, I thought New England might do it or somebody trading up.
Yeah.
So, but hey, he'll go today. So
yeah, maybe the Patriots will get him. Maybe they'll figure out a way to go get him. So as far as where the quarterbacks went. Do you think that let's forget about exactly where they went as far as the pick itself, but the destination? Do you think that the quarterbacks? You think they all went to places that you feel that maybe they have a better chance of succeeding?
The thing is, the coordinators and the
sure,
just the organization in general.
Well, what do you think about Mayfield with Cleveland? And you know how disastrous Cleveland's been with quarterbacks. Do you think that's the right place for him?
Well, one thing he's got going for him, if it's possible, everything that Cleveland can do to ensure his success, it's going to happen. So I think I got confidence in John Dorsey, and I think Dorsey will, push. He'll push the edge a little bit and say, hey, this is what we got to do. And I think that right now I'm going to say that everybody, I like the Rosen going out to Arizona. I thought that was, I liked that. Josh Allen, I mean, it fits for what they want to do because the guy's big, strong, and he's in a windy city, I guess. So, in Western New York. And we'll see. But, hey, I'm going to give all those good guys the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to be criticizing any young guys or organizations yet, but I reserve the right to get back on top of them here if they don't do something here in a couple of years.
How about? I thought it was interesting when you hear Rosen's comments yesterday, because you had talked about Rosen feeling like maybe he's an entitled guy, that maybe that's that could be part of his bad rap, and then he goes out there and kind of says some things that put your words into context, and it sounded like, maybe that's right. It sounded, now you could say maybe there's a confidence there, which is nice. Maybe he turned into a real good player. There's the talents there. But you do kind of think about that, don't you? It's like that sense of entitlement of, wow, how can I not go in the top 3 picks?
Yeah, but hey, you might have gone in the top 3 picks if you would have went out and did something on the field, during your career at UCLA that would have jumped out. Throw 50 touchdown passes and, very few interceptions and lead your team to Rose Bowl wins or something like that. So, and it's not only one guy. I mean, I thought they had a lot of talent there at UCLA one time, but gee whiz, they just didn't live up to it when, he was out there. And, of course, Mora got fired, and now he left as a junior. So
yeah. Yep. And that's the other thing with Darnold too is that we definitely would have much rather have seen Darnold play another year, and it just didn't happen. So, but I don't think he's going to get rushed. I don't think there's any doubt about the fact that Sam Darnold is going to play only when he's ready, and that's probably a good thing. He could have went somewhere where they would have pushed him into the starting lineup in week 1. Jets aren't going to push him.
Well, I think that certainly, they got some quarterbacks that they can hold the fort at least for a year, and then I guess they can see what they got. But did Hackenberg ever play in a game?
No, he did not. No, that's my point. If they went to the right team, they're going to be really patient with him. And not to say he's Hackenberg, but they didn't force Hackenberg even at the end of last season. They didn't even give him a series. So, all right. Surprise at Hurst was the first tight end over Goddard. Not a major surprise because we know how this is done. Every GM thinks differently about players that are pretty close as far as talent is concerned. But how surprised were you?
Well, especially there's a 4 to 5 year age difference between Goddard and Hurst too, and it's kind of funny. Some of the analysts, I can really see, who does film work and who doesn't, because you got to pump the brakes a little bit on his blocking ability. I mean, Hurst is not like a road grader by any stretch of the imagination,
but he wants
that's
to.
One thing.
That's what it was.
They held him back on something, but he's an older guy, and everything, and he caught 100 balls the last 2 years. Well, tell you what, Goddard did all that almost in a year. You know what I mean? So, and a different level of competition, but Goddard's going to be fine, and wherever he lands, hey, he might end up. I don't know. Minnesota's quite a ways down there again, but I thought at one time that might be and that's the other thing. Going to the spot that you're needed. Even if you go, second round, late second, mid second, go to a team that really needs you. You know, and that's what you want. Yeah,
and it looks like in the first look, you can go all the way down, maybe maybe to 8, I guess, before you start talking about tight ends. We know the Cowboys need a tight end now. For what we're hearing, it looks like Witten. Now, Witten's talking about retiring now, right? He's talking about not even playing next year, correct?
Right, and to be honest with you, some people close to the Dallas situation said that, Jason's best years are behind him. You know what I mean?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So, they just, I think they're waiting for him to gracefully bow out so they don't have to, kick him out the door.
Now, what do you think about how about Cleveland's strategy? If would you have preferred, especially if you believed, now this is a guessing game, but if you believed that the Jets, knowing they could pick Sam Darnold, would have wanted Darnold over Baker, and we don't know that. Maybe Cleveland didn't believe that. But let's just think that was a possibility. Then do you think Cleveland did the wrong thing? That maybe they should have took Barkley first, and then Darnold would have been sitting there for them at 4? Or do you think that, hey, they preferred Ward over Barkley anyway?
Well, I think that now you're talking about the Jets, or you're talking about Cleveland?
Cleveland, that they would have actually took Mayfield. Like, for instance, if they waited till 4 to take Mayfield, thinking, okay, you know what, we go Barkley 1, Giants, now, who knows whether that's the thing. Do they think the Giants then are going to take a quarterback, or would they go to Chubb? So that it's a guessing game. I guess my point is do you think that would, for you, would you have felt better as a GM going with, say, Barkley first, taking a chance and getting either Mayfield or Darnold 4th, as opposed to getting Ward 4th and then Mayfield first?
Well, I think this. It would have been a real gritty move if they did that. You know what I mean? Say they went with Barkley first, and then. But I think what they wanted, in their mind, that the guy they wanted
was
for
Mayfield.
A lot of reasons is Mayfield. Okay, and once that happened, they weren't going to get Barkley. All right, now the thing that people forget about, they're the analyst, I put quotation marks around that, is you're looking at 3 wide receiver sets every week, okay? And they needed to get another corner. Yeah, they could have got a corner, later, but the best corner in the draft, is strictly a corner. I mean, he was sitting there at 4 in their minds, because he did. I mean, he's really fast and he's really sticky and he really covered you well. So, I mean, I was surprised, but hey, he was our 6th best player.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, sure. So it wasn't like he was that much further down than Chubb.
It wasn't like he pulled a New England. How they pull something out of there, then everybody forgets about it because Brady covers their mistakes. But,
yeah.
No, I think that. But here's the other thing. People don't do their work on Osba. He's pretty good now. I mean, they would have had a 3-man rotation if they had Chubb, in there. But I mean, Osba's pretty good now.
Oh yeah, they got good depth at defensive line, and they got Nassib. He's a good player too.
Yeah. So and they needed probably a corner more than they did. And I understand. And Chubb's a really good player, and I hope he has great success, and he probably will at Denver. But that was, I thought, hey, I was ready for the Chubb pick like everybody else, and it didn't happen. But that doesn't mean it wasn't the right pick. If they needed a corner,
yep,
they could have went Minka, who can play anywhere in the secondary.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
what do you think about that? Now, do you think that also might have been okay if you're going to go corner, maybe Fitzpatrick over Ward?
Well, the thing is, too, that I guess for an overall, to play any position in the secondary, you'd take Fitzpatrick, and they wanted a nickel corner and a corner that can really run, and that's who they decided on. And so,
okay.
Hey, we're just going to see how it plays out. And, so that can't be critical of, because, I mean, the guy's a good player.
Good player, sure, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm sure it didn't hurt what happened to Marshawn Lattimore. We know how it works. And that's why I think, in a way, I mean, Moore is a really good receiver. We know that. The kid's electrifying, and he could end up with a tremendous NFL career. He's size limited, but he's going to be a playmaker. But a little bit of surprise that it goes over Ridley. And I just wonder whether or not Ridley slid down a little bit because of the bad season Cooper had last year. I don't know, but what are you surprised that Moore went over Ridley?
I had them really close together. In fact, I was playing back and forth about who to put up there, Moore or Ridley. And because Moore's a little thicker. He's built more like a running back. You know, he's around 6'2", 210,
Yep.
a little thicker.
Yep.
You know, and Ridley's 6 foot, 189. I mean, 20 pounds is 20 pounds, and
Sure.
they both ran very similar speed.
Yep.
And you know, so it was just I think a matter of preference, and
Moore's a return guy too.
Exactly. Although I tell you what, Ridley can punt return and stuff.
Okay.
You know, they just, you know, kept him off the beaten path at Alabama, but yeah, he can, and he has done so. So
yeah, he has.
But,
yeah.
But again, you talk about a little thicker guy and everything. So you know, like I said, I had him almost bookend. You know, like, you know, 2 peas in a pod, and it's just a matter of preference. And so, you know, Carolina ended up going with
okay.
You know, with Moore.
Yeah, and maybe Hurney is trying to look for another Steve Smith, and that's something Carolina needs. They need another explosive receiver. So we know he knows what he's doing there. Okay. Lastly, as far as the players left on the board, Cleveland is going to get 2 of the top 3 picks tonight. So what do you think? Are there any players that stick out to you, guys that, whether they go to Cleveland or not, but guys that are sticking out to you like sore thumbs, like, oh, this guy is definitely ready to go?
Well, yeah, there certainly is. I mean, the big thing is you know, guys that are Landry, for instance.
Yeah, Harold Landry. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he jumps out at us up there. Geis, of course, they're going to be looking for another running back. So I don't know, Geis might be Connor Williams, another offensive. There's an offensive tackle. They may decide to go that route because they need another one. You know, I think that if Josh Jackson's another corner guy, they won't go on time, but hey, they don't really need you know, that's why Will Hernandez may be around, because I'll tell you, there's guys that are going to be going off the board there tonight that are first round caliber players. So it's just a matter of what they decide what position. Maybe James Daniels from Iowa. You know, I was kind of pushing a center at 33. I thought Ragnow might be there, but he wasn't. So he was the guy that kind of looked at. You know, I think that
we took him. We took him pretty high in in our mock draft. I actually had him going to Cincinnati when we did it, so he kind of went in that same range.
Yeah, and when I did my final mock draft that we had on our website, I just battled back and forth between Ragnow and Price, because Price, the only reason it kind of pushed over the edge, Paul Brown was the former Ohio State coach. They love Ohio State players. And, you know, even though when you grade them, they're pretty close. Ragnow's a little bit bigger, but gee whiz, I mean, they're both. Ragnow, you know, started 3.5 years, Price 4 years. I mean, they were really, you know, like I said, both of them are going to go to Pro Bowl, so it doesn't matter, I guess. Yeah. So, but there's other, you know, there's quite a few guys I think that are going to come off this board.
Sam Hubbard could actually fit with Cleveland too if they want to go back to defensive end. Not that it's a major need, but if they do want to restock that, then they could say, hey, we got Hubbard and Ward as opposed to Chubb and, you know, I mean, if that happens, that'll be compared, but that's a possibility.
Yeah, so, you know, I think that there's a lot of good options here for Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland's got to come out of there again with a couple more starters, you know, if they can. You know, and I think that, you know, whether it's a safety or another, say you want an interior guy like Tim Settle from Virginia Tech or Harrison. I mean, I think John Dorsey really likes those high motor guys, like, you know, we all do. And so that might mean Harrison Phillips is in the mix there, or Rashawn Green from Southern Cal is a very talented guy. You know, so there's some really good players, and they're not going to last long. You know, so I think if they, depending on who they feel like the best tackle is left, is it Connor Williams? You know, or will they take O'Neal because of his athletic ability? Will they take Crosby? I don't. They could probably get one of those guys maybe even in their last pick of the second round,
Okay.
Those first 2 picks they could take. I'm just hopeful that they get a couple starters there.
And by the way, the Patriots are 11, so that they're in a pretty good spot. Now, how high would it be, or how high is too high? Not maybe anybody takes a quarterback nowadays. It's not too high because they'll go crazy with them. But a guy like Kyle Lauletta, do you think the Patriots, if somebody took Rudolph earlier and they really wanted a quarterback, would it be too high to take Lauletta at 11 in the second round?
I think it is, but hey, once you hit Lauletta and White,
that's it.
Then there's a major drop off. So, that's what you're looking at. So no, I think that New England can very well take Lauletta at that pick in the second round.
Yeah, and of course we would think Rudolph would probably be their number 1 target, but that's just if he's off the board. And look, there are 2 teams that could take Rudolph, Denver and Miami, that are ahead of the Patriots. So I think Miami would feel pretty good about themselves if they got Fitzpatrick and Mason Rudolph. Then I think I'd probably say, hey, you know what? That's a lot better than Rosen and whatever. I'd rather take Rudolph and Fitzpatrick.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I agree. So I think that and then they didn't shoot and waste a lot of draft picks trying to move up.
That's right. Yes.
Miami. So
yep. Yep. All right. So we'll talk all about it, by the way, on Monday and Wednesday. So we'll have a Monday, Wednesday. We'll have 2 shows. We'll do AFC on Monday and NFC on Wednesday. So we'll get an opportunity to look at everybody's drafts and talk about the players themselves. More importantly, not necessarily where they go, but just to give an idea of how your team went. So Dan, I really appreciate it. And the draft review guide will be out in about a month.
Yeah. Usually we start. Concluding it toward the end of OTAs, just to see how all these guys are being used, see if, make sure there's no major injuries and things like that knocks the guy out the box right away. It takes about, like I said, a month to get everything cleared up, but usually toward the end of OTAs is when we bring it out.
All right, Dan, it should be another fun night tonight and then a long day tomorrow, so I'm sure you're going to be busy on the phones doing interviews across the country. You've already probably done a few in Cleveland, right?
Oh, yes. Actually, I already had some real good ones. In fact, before the draft, after the rumor about Mayfield hit, and everything, and the way it turns out that was Dorsey's guy a month ago. So
there you go.
And then McCagnon, the word is there. The reason they moved up to 3 is because they liked 3 quarterbacks, and they were happy with any of the 3 that came to them. And they liked Mayfield, but of course now their favorite one was Darnold.
It's always that way. Yes.
Always that way. All righty.
Thanks, Dan. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Okay, Greg. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, that's Dan Shonka of Ourlads, GM and National Scout. So, again, we'll be on the air with Dan on Monday and Wednesday. AFC Monday, Wednesday NFC. I'm also going to be joined next week, hopefully on Tuesday, with Neil Hornsby, he's no longer the owner. He's the founder of ProFootballFocus.com. So I know he's got a new job title since the last time I spoke to him. But anyway, we'll talk to Neil. We talked to Neil at the beginning of the season, and we'll talk to him again, hopefully on Tuesday. So looking forward to that. So that's a good schedule for next week to kick things off right after the draft. Dan Shonka for a couple of days and Neil Hornsby from Pro Football Focus for a day. So that should be a lot of fun here on the Ourlads Football Radio Network. And we're also going to try to book as many of the players that we can that we'll find out where they're going to go. So we've already interviewed a bunch of them before the draft. We're going to try to see if we can get a hold of a bunch of them after the draft. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you for several shows coming up next week. We've also got Jets Uncovered Saturday night, by the way, at 9 o'clock to wrap up the Jets draft. So that's up. That'll be available, too, for New York Jet fans or anybody that's just curious about what the Jets have done So anyway, thanks to Dan Shonka, of course, as always. I'm Greg DePalma. Follow us on Twitter at PrimeSN. We'll see you next time.